Prathamam Sadgurum Vande Shri Krishnan Tadanantaram Guru Papatmanam Tratam Shri Krishnas Tvamalatmanam Kararvindena Padarvindam Mukharvinde Viniveshayantam Vatasya patrasya pute shayanam Balam mukundam manasa smarami Yo brahmanam vidadhati purvam Yo vai vedanscha prahinoti tasmai Tagmangha devamatma buddhi prakasham Mumukchurvai sharanamaham prapadye Dear devotees, we'll have a few minutes of Nam Sankirtan, during which time you can meditate on the form of Radha and Krishna. Think in your heart about Radha, about Krishna. Picture them before you. Think of their leelas. And while doing that, we'll do the chanting. Bhajo Giridhar Govinda Gopala 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 भजो गिरिधर गोविंद गोपाला 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 भजो गोपाला भजो गोपाला भजो गिरिधर गोविंद गोपाला भजो गिरिधर गोविंद गोपाला भजो गिरिधर गोविंद गोपाला भजो गिरिधर गोविंद गोपाला बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की। In the fourth chapter, which we were covering yesterday, there are two very important verses for the devotional philosophy. One of them I mentioned Ye yatha mam prapadyante tas tathaiva bhajamyaham. This verse means that however you love Krishna, he will love you the same way in return. With whatever feelings you have, he will have the same feelings in his love for you. However much you love him, he will love you that much. And this verse also means, however a soul surrenders to Krishna, he comes to that soul in that way. It means whatever is your desire, however you think of God, that is how Krishna will come to you. So what he means is, if you think of him as Shiva, he'll come to you as Shiva. If you think of him as Vishnu, he'll come to you as Vishnu. If you think of him as Krishna, he'll come to you as Krishna. It's up to you. But this is a very important verse because what he's saying is there's one God for the whole world and all the religions and the entire universe. There's not a separate Christian God or Muslim God or Hindu God. There's one God. Krishna is saying, I come to whoever worships God, but I come in their form. However they surrendered to me, whatever form they worshipped, I come in that form. So this is a very important philosophy of the Gita, which makes it a universal philosophy. It unifies all the religions of the world just with one single verse. The other important devotional philosophy of this 4th chapter that I didn't have time to talk about yesterday is the one verse in the whole Gita that relates to the guru-disciple relationship. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekchanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. So if you have your papers from yesterday and you want to follow along, this is the part that was left out. What this means is, very simply put, if you want to find God, you need a guru. Krishna is saying it, plain and simple. Tad vidhi, you want to know him, you want to know God. Pranipatena, he says 3 things about a spiritual master or guru. Pranipat means surrender. Surrender of the mind. Not like saying namaste or physically bowing down, even bow down and touch your head to the spiritual master's feet. That's not pranipat. That's just pat. Pranipat means from the mind, surrendering. To whom? To a divine personality, a God-realized saint. Jnanina tattva darshina. One who is not only well-versed in the scriptures, but who is God-realized. That's the key. God-realized. Such a saint could be your guru. So if you ever meet such a saint, what are you supposed to do? Pranipatena. Pranipat. We're supposed to surrender in our mind to that saint. We don't have to show any formality. We don't have to proclaim anything. We don't have to ask him to make us his disciple. We don't have to ask him for any mantra. In our mind, surrender. That's it. If he's a true saint, he knows your mind. And if he's a true saint, he graces you according to your surrender. No words have to be exchanged. But pariprashnena, because souls always come to the spiritual path with past things they've learned that confuse them, that prevent them from being able to accept what that saint is teaching, the plain and pure, simple philosophy, it doesn't go in right away because we have past confusions from things we've read, things we've learned. So the right philosophy doesn't go in right away. So, pariprashnena. Keep asking questions, not in a testing way or just to make conversation, but to really humbly ask the question and be ready to change the way we're thinking. Means if we're asking a saint a question, we should have already decided in my mind that whatever I think I know about the answer to this, throw it out. And whatever the saint is going to tell me, that's the correct answer. So if we're not ready with that kind of humbleness, then don't ask the question. We're wasting the saint's time. A question is not a question unless it's a humble question with a willingness to accept the answer. Pariprashnena, Krishna says. Not prashnena. Prashnena means just asking. Pariprashnena. With a surrendered and humble heart, ask the question if you have need some clarification. And sevaya. Sevaya means spend time around that saint if you can, because that saint is representing God on the earth planet and radiates from his very being divinity. So just associating with the saint affects our heart and draws our heart towards God. And one of the best ways to associate is through doing seva. Offer some service to that saint. Whatever it may be, you may not be able to be physically close, then you can do other kinds of seva. But getting to serve a true spiritual master is mentioned here in the Gita as being a way of coming closer to God. Why is this necessary? Some people wonder, why can't we just worship God directly? Or why won't God just come to me directly? Yesterday we talked about Avatar Rahasya, the secret of Krishna's descension. So in Avatar Rahasya, you learned that God, when he appears on this earth planet, even if we see him, we can't recognize him. So if he came to us now, we wouldn't get any benefit from that. We wouldn't even realize that it's God. We wouldn't experience divine bliss. So there's no sense in him coming to us. He sends the spiritual master, who is his representative, to prepare us to meet him. The spiritual master shows us the path. What do we have to do to purify our heart so that we become qualified to meet God? That's the spiritual master's job. Then when the heart is fully pure, Nirmal man jan so mohi pava, mohi kapat chhal chhidra na bhava. Bhagwan Ram says, if you have any kind of garbadi in here, I won't come to you. Clean it all out. When it's totally nirmal man chahiye mujhe. When it's totally clean, then I'll come to you. तो साफ कौन करे? गुरु करेंगे, भगवान नहीं करेंगे. God sends the guru to do that part, teach the souls how to clean their heart by doing proper devotion to God. So that is what the guru is for. Guru is not to fix our worldly problems or give us a magic mantra that's like a shortcut to God. Guru has to give us correct understanding of the goal of our life and what is the path. And Guru has to explain us step by step how to follow that path. And then answer any doubts or confusions that arise along the way. And then just grace us by his very presence to give us more faith in the possibility or the more confidence in our ability to find God in this life. That is what the association of a true saint does. So are there any questions about Guru? Yes?
When should we entertain the thought that we might need a Guru? It is time now for me to be looking for a Guru, number one. And if the answer is okay, maybe time is now, how would I know that a certain saint is a God realized, because they have no outward characteristics that at least I can recognize that they are a God realized saint?
It takes time to be able to recognize a saint, meaning you have to spend time with that saint and spend time practicing the path that saint is teaching. So when will you know the right time? The right time is when you're desiring God. If you want to meet God in this life, then you need a Guru.
But that means that I may be going through perhaps multiple personalities and spending time with them, and maybe that's not a God-realized person. I guess I'll move on to somebody else.
Ask God not to waste your time. What I mean is, the intensity of your desire for God has to be strong. And pray to God directly, please send me a true saint. But then how will we recognize that saint? That we have to look at a couple of things, like, is this knowledge the saint is teaching practical? Can I apply it in my life and see benefits? Or is it just some, up in the air, it's just fancy words, it doesn't go anywhere or mean anything? There's a lot of that out there. So it should be practical, to the point. It should clarify, not confuse. It should give you a way of understanding things, not give you one more thing to add to the pile. It should make that whole pile of things clear, that, oh, this fits here, this is this, that is that. Not just give you one more thing to consider. It should be like the saint should present things in a way that makes sense of everything and shows you where this stands compared to other things and how to go forward. So you can judge the initial philosophy on that basis, but then comes the hard part for most people, which is that to really find out about the saint, you have to exclusively practice what that saint is teaching. You can't juggle multiple things and expect to get results from any of them. You have to say, this is what I want, I'm going to follow this and give this a chance. So you exclusively follow what that saint is teaching, not mixing and matching various philosophies and teachings. Exclusively follow what that saint is teaching if you want to know that, can I get the benefit of this? If it's just like a spiritual entertainment, then okay, try a little bit of this and add in a little bit of that. That's what most people do. And that's why they spend their whole life and end up in the same place where they started. So if you exclusively follow what that saint is teaching, then you will or you won't see the benefits. And that's how you decide. Are you getting closer to God? Is your understanding becoming more clear? In your heart, is your affinity for God growing? Do you feel your relationship with God and you feel His presence? And your desire to meet Him is growing? And are your worldly attachments reducing? Some people follow a so-called spiritual or religious path for their whole life. But as they go on following that path, side by side with that, their worldly attachments go on increasing. I don't mean worldly activities, I mean worldly attachments in here. That in here should reduce if you're following a correct path, even though the activities go on physically. So that's how you judge it. And that takes time. It takes definitely a few months for most people to be able to judge that. A few months of wholehearted following what that saint is saying. So that's the only way I know to, find some proof that you're following a true saint, through your own experience. Yes?
Does it carry forward to next birth?
Does your relationship with the saint carry forth?
Whatever you have achieved.
Yes. Whatever you've achieved spiritually carries forth to your next life. Any other questions? Okay, so we'll move on to chapter 5. And at this time, we'll invite the adults to head into the video room, and you'll see the conclusion of the speech from yesterday, as well as the beginning of a new speech today. Pardon me?
I should take pictures of what?
I think you should take pictures at the end and the whole. Or, I mean, you can
Let's do the kids,
some close-ups
the kids, and then and then I can one in Jeopardy. I can
Yeah,
sit quietly.
and then at the end, at the very end, when the hall is full with everybody. Yeah.
I wasn't there last time.
Okay. We're on chapter 5. So it's a single page. Does everybody have this single page? I'm kind of skipping over it. What I just talked about was the end of chapter 4.
Jeopardy, there's a question that was like on the back page.
Oh, yeah, that's because we ran out of time yesterday. So why don't we concentrate on what you need to learn today for Jeopardy? Does everybody have this page that's double-sided?
Yep.
Okay, chapter 5. What's the title? Origin of?
That's the second page, right?
That's the second.
Oops. Good thing you guys are. Karma Yoga versus Karma Sannyas. Okay, so the reason we're reviewing this again is because at the beginning of the 5th chapter, Arjuna asks again. He says, Krishna, what's better, Karma Yoga or Karma Sannyas? So before we find out what Krishna answered, let's review what is Karma Yoga and what is Karma Sannyas. So number 1. What is Karma Yoga? Can somebody read what's written there for me? Rishi?
Observing your worldly duties while keeping your mind attached to God.
Right, so which part is karma and which part is yoga?
Observing your worldly duties is karma.
Right, so write that. Karma is observing your worldly duties. And which part is yoga? Yes.
While keeping your mind attached to God.
So having your mind in God is yoga. In this case, it doesn't mean doing stretching exercises. It does sometimes, but in this case, it means keeping your mind in God. Or God in your mind, either way works. And what is karma sannyas? Not being involved in matters of the world, while keeping your mind attached to the world. Oh, good, I'm just testing. Where's our mind attached?
God.
That's right.
Okay, number 2 was God.
Number 3 is important. I told you this before, but let's see if you remember. Does God give you the outcome of your physical actions or the outcome of your mental attachment? So number 3, you get the outcome of your mental attachment, not your physical actions.
But what if you do something like steal or Something like severely bad.
So that means your mind was also in that action, right? Otherwise, why would you have stolen? But God, see, God is not looking at the physical action. He was looking at your thought process. I want that thing. No, I can't steal. It's wrong. I don't care if it's wrong. I'm going to take it. So that's the thing that's wrong. The physical action just comes after that, right? It was the thought that was the problem. Yes.
So that's the desire?
Yeah, desire. So, who do you think is going to attain God? The karma yogi or the karma sannyasi? Which one? It's a trick question. Yes.
Both.
Very good. Both do. Both the karma yogi and the karma sannyasi attain God. Why? Yes, Nikhil?
Because in both of them you have your mind attached to God.
Good.
And in what, even if you're doing your worldly duty.
Good. In Gita, was Krishna telling Arjun to behave like a karma yogi or karma sannyasi? Who hasn't had a chance to, who would like to answer? Do any of you know in the back? Karma, if he was a karma yogi, that would mean he's doing his worldly duty and remembering Krishna. And if he's a karma sannyasi, it means he leaves everything and goes to the jungle and remembers Krishna. So would fighting the war be like doing karma yoga or karma sannyas if he fights the war and remembers Krishna? Yes. Yes, you're right. So is Krishna telling him to be karma yogi or karma sannyasi? Right. Very good. Now, why was he encouraging him to be a karma yogi? So Arjun could set an example for a common person. Because karma yoga is easier than karma sannyas for most people. What I mean is that even if you were given permission right now, like let's say you complain sometimes, oh, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to do schoolwork. So what if your parents said to you, okay, why don't you go to the jungle and think of Krishna all the time? But then you don't have to do your schoolwork. Just go to the jungle and think of Krishna. But you'll never ever touch a video game or a TV or a telephone. You'll only eat simple food, sleep, in a simple hut, and just think of Krishna all the time. How many of you would choose to do that compared to stay in school, do your work, think of Krishna, sometimes get to play video games or TV, not too much, but every once in a while? 99.99% of you will choose to stay. Am I right?
On that point, 1%.
So that's why karma yoga, that's why Krishna wanted Arjuna to set the example of karma yoga. Because most people are not going to even want to go and leave everything and go to the jungle. So they need to understand what should they do while they're living in the world so that they can find God. So that's why Krishna taught Arjuna the karma yoga. Yes? Sure.
So Krishna says, all the karma sannyas and karma yoga both give God realization. Karma yoga is better for Arjuna.
Yes. The answer to 6 is again karma yoga. But we should do both every day. Right now, at this time while you're in the temple, in this class, listening to me, and if you're listening, you should be facing the front. Are you doing karma yoga or karma sannyas right now? Are you involved in any worldly duties right now, physically?
No.
No.
Duties, I'm talking about.
That's not a joke.
You're only thinking of God, right? You're physically involved in some religious action and your mind is in God. So is that karma yoga or karma sannyas? Yes. Sannyas, that's right. So right now you are doing karma sannyas. But when you go out, let's say when you leave here and you're driving home in the car and you're with your family, then you're doing karma yoga because you're involved in a worldly activity, but you're keeping your mind in God. If your mind is in God, you're doing karma yoga. Let's say you're sitting in the car next to your sibling, maybe your brother or your sister, and you're just, trying to cause some fight. You're teasing them. So at that time, are you doing karma yoga?
No.
No, because your mind isn't in God if you're doing something bad, right? You're just doing vikarma, actually. You're doing a bad action. But if you're sitting in the car and thinking of God, you're doing karma yoga. And right now you're in the temple, so you're not in a worldly place, right? You're in a godly place, and you're thinking of God. So right now you're doing karma sannyas. Yes?
What if you're in the car and you're like reading a book? Is that karma yoga or karma sannyas?
It depends why you're reading the book. Let's say you're reading the book so that you can become more educated. So because you know God wants you to be well educated. So you're doing that to please God, let's say. Krishna, you gave me this chance to be human, so I want to use it and get a good education. So if that's your reason for reading, then it becomes karma yoga. Let's say you're just reading something for fun, then is it karma yoga? No, not if you're not doing it for God. So if you're doing it for God, it's karma yoga. Yes?
Did you first one?
No, not yet. Any other questions about karma yoga and karma sannyas?
Wait, so they're both different?
So at home, how could you do karma sannyas in your own house if you wanted to? Yeah.
You just sit down quietly and just think of God.
Did everybody hear that? Sit down quietly and think of God, or do some chanting, Radhe Govinda, if you like some of the chanting.
About God.
About God, yeah, chanting God's name. So that would be like doing karma sannyas in your own house. And it's good to do a little bit of that every day. Maybe before you go to bed at night, before you get up in the morning, after you get up in the morning. Right after you get up in the morning. You can do some karma sannyas, which means you stop everything else you're doing, and at that time you only think of God. It's like you're giving a few minutes of your day just to think of God. And then the rest of the day you're busy, right? So it's harder to think of God, but you still try to. So the rest of the day, if you do your actions for God, then that's karma yoga. So if you're at school, you should be thinking, God, I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this to please you. Yes.
So like when you're singing the song for God, it's like you're thinking of God closing your eyes.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yep.
So it's coming to us.
Yep. Okay, turn your page over. Oh, you know 1A? What is it?
Yeah, it's Maya.
Wow, that's so good. Maya is covering the soul. And what is it like, Nikhil?
A thick, dark blanket covering a light.
Right. So let's say the light is shining, like one of these bright lights over there. Let's say it's shining and you take a thick, dark blanket and put it over the light. And if it was the only light in this room, the room would become dark, right? So what caused the darkness?
Light.
What caused it? Right, which is, I'm saying in this case, the blanket, right. And what is the light? The light is, you can say, our knowledge that I am the soul. You remember in the second chapter, what did Krishna teach Arjuna? That he is the body or he's the soul?
It's the body. Soul.
Your true self is the body. That means this body stays with you forever. Soul is you forever, right? The body is just a temporary place where you're living.
So it's just an ordinary thing.
What's that?
Your body is just made of material, it's an ordinary thing.
That's right. But your soul is divine. But we forget that, yes.
So like whenever the body you are in like dies, then you go to another body, but since your brain doesn't move with your soul, you don't remember anything from your other.
Your mind goes with you, not the brain, because brain is part of the body, but your mind, which is actually where you think. You don't think with the brain like you use it, but your real mind is more subtle than the brain. So mind goes with the soul. That's why you're still different than other people, right? Because you thought a certain way and acted a certain way in your last life. So your personality is the same as it was in the last life. How you are, what you're like. That's preserved in your mind. But the memories are too deep in your mind. That's why you can't remember. Just like you can't remember anything from when you were 1 year old. 1 year old, 1 year old. You can't remember because it's too deep in your mind. So for the same reason, we can't remember being born, we can't remember what our last life was like. All of those memories are buried in our mind. So what happens is, because Maya is covering us, that light of knowledge that I am the divine soul, that light goes out. You can say not out, but it's covered, so it becomes dark. And that darkness is ignorance. Ignorance means not knowing. So just like most people think I'm the body, they don't think I'm the soul. So that's ignorance, and that's caused by Maya. So 1C, the blanket is Maya, the darkness is the ignorance of the souls.
But I thought souls were not ignorant. I thought it was our mind that was ignorant.
Yeah, but the dark.
But it's all one package, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can't separate you from your soul. You are your soul, and so it means we as individuals are ignorant because we forget that we're the soul. We start thinking, oh, I'm the body. You look in the mirror and you think, that's me. No, it's not. You are inside there, and this is just a vehicle that you use to get around with. Yes?
I have 2 questions. One, what is your soul made of?
Your soul is made of divine energy. You can think of it like a spark. You know, a fire, when it burns, a spark comes out. Have you seen that? That's like, think of your soul like that. It's not exactly like that, but think of it like a spark of divine energy.
And 2, is your soul from the divine world or like from goddess? Like from the divine world?
We didn't come from the divine world, we've always been here.
But I mean like...
But we belong to God. Think of it
Soul,
like
is it from the divine world or...
your soul belongs to God.
Oh, so it goes from God to the divine world.
You can go to the divine world, but we've never been there yet.
What is the divine world called?
The divine world, think of it as perfect. Whatever is good in this world, multiply it by millions of times.
So it's a million times better than this world?
It's more than a million. It's infinite times better than this world. Yes?
God is made entirely of divine energy.
Yeah, you can say divine energy or just like God is divine. There's nothing material about him. Even his body is divine. That's why in God's case, he is his body. But in our case, we're not our body. We're inside the body.
So God is like a bigger thing than we are?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it's like the body, like a big thing, or is it like just the body like stuff?
He's the whole thing. Yes, Nikhil, did you have a question?
So he's all of us.
So, how a soul is affected by Maya, see, the next question would be, why did Maya cover us? Or why is Maya covering us and making us forget that we're the soul? So the only reason is because we're turned away from God. If we were turned towards God, Maya couldn't be here. You know why? Because Maya is like darkness and God is like the sun. So can sun and darkness be in the same place at the same time?
No.
If the sun is there, the darkness is gone. So if we were turned towards God, Maya would be gone. But we're turned away from God. Away from means we forget God. We're only interested in the world, we're not interested in God. So Maya covers us. And then we even forget who we are. We think I'm the body. We don't even remember that we're the soul. So is that, we can write in 2a, soul is turned away from God. So because of that, B, Maya covers the soul. And C, the person, what happens next? Because Maya is covering the soul, the person, one second, forgets. That's right. The person forgets who he is. That he is the...
Body.
he forgets that he is the soul,
Oh yeah.
not the body. Yes?
Are we made of Maya?
Our body is made of Maya, and our mind is made of Maya, but our soul is not made of Maya.
What about God?
God is not made of Maya.
What is he made of then?
He's made of his own self.
Of divine power.
Yeah, divine power.
Oh, so ours is Earth power is
You can say ours is Maya. We're made of Maya, our mind and body is, and he's made of divine power. Okay. What is D? We think we are the... Everybody should have their hand up now. This is an easy one. Yes, that's right, the body.
Wait, can I do the other one, not the soul?
Look how it's written up here. Now, listen to this. Think about this for a second. If you remember you're the soul, and you know that soul is like God, because God is divine and your soul is divine. That's one thing. And your body is made of Maya, and this whole world is made of Maya. So they go together. It's like the body goes with the world, and your soul goes with God, or it belongs to God, and the body belongs to the world. So now, if you think you're the body, what will you be attracted to?
The world.
Yes, the world. That's right. And if you think you're the soul, what will you be attracted to?
God.
God. That's right. So since we forget we're the soul and we think we're the body, then go to E. We get attracted to all the things connected to our body, or you could say all the things of the world.
Wait, can we say we get used to all the things connected to it?
And because of this, we try to find happiness by enjoying
Maya.
the world or Maya. Either one is right, Rishi. You can leave it if you're with Maya. But if we were the soul, where would we try to find happiness from?
God.
Where would we try to find happiness from if we thought we were the divine soul? Do you know? You only have two choices, right? The world or God. Yes. That's right. Very good. Ritvik, right? Ritik. Okay. Okay. And you learned in the second chapter what happens when you have a desire for the world, right? What happens? It's called the cycle of desire. So you have a desire and you get the thing, so you enjoy it. Then what happens?
You get
More desire. So that's what happens if you want happiness from the world. And if you want happiness from God, what happens?
You find it and then you're done.
That's right. You find the ultimate happiness, which is so much you can never run out and it never ends. So you just stay happy forever. That's your choice. Yes.
Does Maya end like in your body?
Maya never ends. It's always, Maya exists forever. You have a lot of good
Also
questions.
your soul?
Your soul also lasts forever. Yes.
If like the whole world is destroyed, what will happen to the soul?
Then at that time, the souls rest within God and wait for God to make the world again. And that keeps happening. There's a break where the universe is dissolved. And God holds everything, the Mayic energy and all the souls inside of him. And then he sends it out again. And the souls are born. And the world is created. Then the souls are born in their whatever body they need to have. Yes.
Wait, is that like done after a certain period of time, or is it random?
It's such a huge span of time that it can't be calculated. But it's not unlimited. I mean, it's a definite period after which God just dissolves the whole thing. And then he starts it again. Yes.
I have two questions. One is, God controls soul?
God doesn't control the soul. You do with your thinking. Meaning you decide what to think and do. God doesn't control that. Okay, now we're all the way down in H. So because we're only looking towards the world, and we're looking to get happiness from the world, and we're attached in the world, so we take birth after birth in the world. So this is called, we say, we are caught in the cycle of birth and death. We are born and we die and born and die and born and die, and it goes on and on and on. And we are separate from God.
Because he's like, we can go anywhere at the same time. He can do more things than we can do.
That's right.
But don't we also get caught up in the cycle of desire and attachment?
Yes. That's why we're caught up in the cycle of birth and death. Now, there's a mantra in the Ved. Listen to this, because this is your situation. Dva suparna sayuja sakhaya samanam vriksham parikhasva jate tayoranya pippalam swadvatya nashnan nanyo abhichakashiti. This mantra says there are two birds sitting on a tree. One is you and the other one is God. So the one bird is sitting on the tree watching the other bird. So the one who's watching is God. He's always watching us. But the bird who's being watched, meaning us, we don't realize that God is right behind us. That the other bird, who's our eternal friend, is right behind us, watching us. Instead, we're busy trying to eat all the fruits on the tree. And we take a fruit and one is sweet and we like the taste of that. And we take another one and it's bitter and we don't like that. We keep, in our busyness, trying to eat more and more of the fruit. We don't even realize that we have a friend, our best friend, eternal friend, right behind us. So, what this means is that, what is the tree? It's your body. So inside you, meaning inside your body, you are there.
Do you have a tree in your body?
No, it's an example. So instead of two birds sitting on the tree, what you think of is your soul and God, both in here.
So you can think of that two birds are sitting on a tree, you and God?
Yes, that's right. Now everybody pay attention.
Can I ask
Shh, no, listen. Eating the fruit means trying to enjoy the world. And when you get something you like, that's like getting a sweet fruit. Something you don't like, that's like getting a bitter fruit. And we're so busy doing that, we forget about God. And God is right there the whole time. But all you have to do is turn around and see Him. Stop what you're doing and turn around and face Him. That's what this mantra from the Ved is saying. So this brings us to number 3. We're separate from God only because we're turned away from Him. So how to correct this? Yes?
We turn towards God.
That's right. Turn towards God. Yes.
And then ignorance will go away?
That's right. Oh, actually you can say, then Maya will go away. You can also put ignorance alongside it because both go hand in hand. Yes.
Does God also control your body?
No. Yes, Nikhil?
Wait, could it be like then desire will go away?
Well, if Maya goes away, desire goes away with it. So Maya has to be there, but if you say Maya goes away, then you can also say and ignorance and desire, they also go away. And anger.
Maya is the main power and it controls all.
That's right. Then you will receive divine knowledge and bliss. Bliss means happiness. So, going back to our original example, take the, what do you have to take off? Take the blanket off and the light comes back. What does turning towards God mean, do you think? Does it mean physically looking behind you like what I was doing? Yes, Nikhil?
It means you try and find God.
That's a good way to put it. How else would you say? Yeah. That's good. Yep. Yeah, that's good too. Or you could say turning towards God means with your mind and heart. You have to turn your heart and mind towards God, which means you have to have more and more faith in God. It means you have to want to meet God. That means you're turning towards Him. And if you forget about Him and just say, oh, no, I just want to enjoy the world, that means you're turned away from Him. If you're thinking, but I want to meet God, then you're turning towards Him. So when you become 100% turned towards Him, then what happens? Right, you can see Him. He appears before you and you see Him. But that happens when we're 100% turned towards Him. So how to get turned towards Him, we're going to learn tomorrow actually. But you already basically know by doing karma yoga and karma sannyas. You have a question?
Yes. Is God more important than us?
You could say that.
Well, we're part of
Because
God.
He saves the world, right?
Yeah. Number 4 asks one last question. Why doesn't God just make all the souls turn towards Him and then they can all be free from Maya and get perfect happiness? So in this chapter, he says, Na kartritvam na karmani lokasya srijati prabhu na karma phala yogam tam svabhavastu pravartate. He says, do you want to answer A? Krishna says he does not
Control.
That's right. He does not control the actions of the souls. So how can He make us turn towards Him? He's not controlling us. He's just waiting for us to do. So B, they, meaning souls, they have blank will. What do you think that is? Free will. Will means like you have the ability to decide. So it is up to a soul to turn towards God. chance. Chapter 6 will give us more understanding of how we can turn towards God. So that will be tomorrow's lesson. And after tomorrow's lesson, instead of playing Jeopardy, I'll be giving you a quiz or an exam, your final exam. So when you go home tonight, study your notes, okay? Don't worry, it's not pass or fail. You all get a certificate at the end. But study so that you can have a good result or the best result as possible on the test. Yep. Yes.
In the test, if you didn't get some information for the
Maybe you should try to get the information before you leave tonight from one of your friends. Any other questions? Today's Friday, right? Okay, so tomorrow's the last day. I'll come again, then we'll go further. Because do you remember how many chapters there are in the Gita?
18.
Yes, 18. So we have to have 2 more of these classes to finish the whole Gita. This time we're only getting up to chapter 6.
So what's the next class? Chapter 7?
The next class will be chapter 7 to 12. And then the third one will be 13 to 18. Yes?
6 chapters every class.
Mm-hmm.
Every roll. Section because
Yeah.
every. Still learning
So,
the first 10.
so this is the full week, and the next week's from Sunday, Wednesday again, and next Sunday.
I'm not sure when I'll come again. Won't be next week.
Definitely.
It'll be in a few months.
Are you gonna send emails to
Yep.
everyone?
Still learning that first 10.
This is fun. You can do it.
Yeah, I think so. But I have to go other places too. I have to travel to other cities.
What's your favorite planes and cars?
A lot of planes and cars.
Wow, you're busy.
So what everyone says.
Any other questions? Everybody caught up in their note-taking? I'm just waiting for the...
I told my dad.
You
I
told
think,
them?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think the video stopped.
Should I go tell him?
You can head down that way. Radhe Radhe. In the beginning of the 5th chapter, Arjun again gives us a chance to review about Karma Yoga and Karma Sannyas. You'll remember that in the Gita there are 4 types of karma described. Karma, Vikarma, Karma Yoga, Karma Sannyas. Karma and Vikarma are a pair because they are both done with the attachment of the mind in the world. And Karma Yoga and Karma Sannyas are a pair because they are both done with the attachment of the mind in God. So when Arjun asked the question, he asked, which is better? Krishna, can you please tell me that is Karma Yoga better or is Karma Sannyas better? Karma Yoga meaning being physically involved in family life and the society and having the mind attached in God. And Karma Sannyas meaning having the mind attached in God and the body away from worldly complications, you can say. You can't leave the world. Even a sannyasi does not leave the world. But a sannyasi means someone who's not involved in family life or in the society, just living a renounced life. So which is better? Being a sannyasi, being a karma sannyasi with the mind in God, or a karma yogi with the mind in God? Which is better? So Krishna answers, Sannyasa karma yogascha nishreyasa karavubhau tayostu karma sannyasat karma yogo vishishyate. In the first line he says, although both give the exact same result, both Karma Yoga and Karma Sannyas result in God realization, yet, in the second line he says, but I consider Karma Yoga to be better. And then he explains why. So first understand, why do they both give the same result? Because Yanti devavrata devan pitrin yanti pitrivrata bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhyajinopimam. Later on in the Gita, in the 9th chapter, Shri Krishna says that whatever you attach your mind to, that is what you're going to attain. So both the Karma Yogi and the Karma Sannyasi have their mind attached to God, so they're going to attain God. God is not looking at your physical action. God is looking, where is your mind? So it means if you physically came to the temple and let's say it's Tuesday and Hanuman Chalisa is being chanted. So you sit and maybe you've chanted Hanuman Chalisa so many times that you have it memorized and your lips are moving and you're singing it, but your mind goes somewhere else. So God is not noting that you're sitting in the temple, and He's not noting that your mouth is chanting Hanuman Chalisa. He is noting, where is your mind? So the physical action of the body is not being noted by God. The attachment of our mind is being noted. So the Karma Yogi is physically involved in the world, but his mind is in God, so he attains God. And the Karma Sannyasi is not involved in worldly things, but his mind is in God, so he also attains God. Both get the exact same outcome in the end, but they physically lived different looking lives, but inside they were the same. Then why does Shri Krishna, you have a question? Yeah. Sorry, I can't.
Okay, in Karma Yoga, a person, if he does something wrong, but his mind is still with God,
Yes.
what kind of intention is that?
The two don't go together, because in fact we do wrong things when we forget God. If we remember God is with us and God is watching everything we're doing, that's when we'll stop ourselves from doing a wrong thing. You might be about to do a wrong thing, and then you remember God is watching. Then you won't do the wrong thing. When you forget, oh, I don't know if I believe in God, then you'll do anything, right? So a karma yogi won't do wrong things because his mind is in God. He's always remembering God.
Swamiji,
Yes.
but then it also brings up the question, what is right and what is wrong?
Well, that's a more complicated question in some cases, but in general, it's not that complicated. We know what's right and what's wrong in most cases. There may be a certain situation where we're confused, but that doesn't even happen every day. Most of the time, we know what's right and wrong. And God is watching our motivation. Did He mean to do the right thing? So if Karma Yoga and Karma Sannyas give the same exact outcome, why is Krishna saying that, in fact, Karma Yoga Vishishyate? Vishishyate means is greater. The reason is that Karma Yoga is for the majority of the people, that's one thing. And for another thing, if someone were to imitate a Karma Yogi versus someone imitating a Karma Sannyasi, what could they imitate? They can't imitate the person's inner state. See, if, let's say you're watching a Karma Yogi, what will you see? You'll see the Karma Yogi physically doing his duties in the world. You won't be able to observe that his mind is in God. You can't see that part. So if you were to imitate a Karma Yogi, what would you do? You would start doing good actions, at least physically in the world. Although you may or may not have your mind attached to God, but at least it's a start. But if someone imitates a Karma Sannyasi, what will he see? He'll see him physically not doing any duties. He can't observe that his mind is in God. So if he imitates the Karma Sannyasi, what will he become? He'll become a vikarmi. He'll start doing wrong things. So for this reason, for the general public, that they'll observe and imitate the actions, so being a Karma Yogi is better. That's why he's telling Arjuna, you become an example. Become an example by doing Karma Yoga, people will follow you. That's one reason. And the other reason is that 99.9% of the people wouldn't even want to do Karma Sannyas. Meaning if I gave you a choice that, okay, you have all these complications and stresses in the world, leave it forever. Go to the jungle and just think of Krishna. But also leave behind your iPhone and your laptop and all your family and friends and all your tasty food. Just go out there and eat simple food and live in a hut. Means you don't have to be uncomfortable, but just the bare necessities for the rest of your life. But you get to think of Krishna 24 hours a day, no complications. How many people would take that opportunity? 0.1% is probably too big of a number. Most people will choose to stay in the world. So that means Krishna needs to teach those people who want to live in the world how to do that while remembering God. So Arjun, you're my example. You're going to be the example. If you can fight this war and remember me all the time, then we can say to people, look, you're not doing anything as difficult as fighting a war. So if Arjun could remember me while fighting the war, then you can remember me while doing your worldly and family duties. So from that point of view, that it's more easily adopted by the majority of the people, Karma Yoga is superior. But from the point of view of the outcome, they're both the same. Any questions about that? There are a couple more verses I'll look at. Krishna describes the state of mind of a true karma yogi and a true karma sannyasi. True meaning whose mind is always in God, 24 hours a day. Tad buddhayas tad atmanas tannishthas tat parayana. One half shlok, he says, his buddhi is in me, meaning his intellect, his mind is absorbed in Krishna. His soul, his whole self, his whole being is absorbed in Krishna. Tannishtha. It means he himself is impregnated with Krishna. His every fiber of his being, like if you take if this cloth was white and you dye it saffron colored. Now this fiber is impregnated with that saffron color. Like that, his whole being is impregnated with divine bliss of Shri Krishna. Tat parayana, it means he loves only Krishna. He feels that Krishna is his only relative, his only friend. Deep in his heart, he has that feeling. So he has a perfect attachment to Krishna. Lipyate na sa papena padmapatra mivambhasa. He says that such an individual whose mind is always in Krishna, so pap and punya can't touch him. It means if your mind is not in God, then whatever you're doing, you're bound by. So even if you do a good action, but your attachment is in the world, that's a binding action. Because you'll have to be reborn in Maya, and you'll get some good result of that. But it's still binding. It's not going to free you from karma. It's not going to free you from Maya. But if your mind is in God, you're free from punya and pap. It can't touch you. It's like this verse says, like on the lotus leaf, which is floating on the water, and you have a drop of water that comes on it, it just rolls off. The leaf doesn't get wet. So that's a way of describing a karma yogi actually. The karma yogi is in the world, like the lotus leaf is in the water, but it's not getting wet. So the karma yogi is in the world, but the world is not in him. Put it that way. Ramakrishna Paramahans said doing karma yoga is like the boat should float on the water should not get in the boat. So you're living in the world, but the world is not getting in you. In here is God, but you are living in the world. That's perfect karma yoga. That's the goal for us. So along the way, we improve and we come closer and closer to that. Now there's one more verse, which is a very important topic. Shri Krishna says, Ajnanena vritam jnanam. Avritam means you're covered. Tena muhyanti jantava. Muhyanti means to be confused. The souls are covered with something that is causing a confusion. That confusion is also called ajnan, or ignorance. What is covering us? Maya is covering us. It's like if that spotlight were the only light burning in this room, and you took a thick blanket and covered it, the room would become black, dark. Like that, Maya is covering the soul, which is putting out the light of knowledge, or covering the light of knowledge. So the resulting darkness is ignorance. The souls are covered by Maya, therefore we are ignorant. Ignorant means we don't have correct knowledge. Someone may say, I don't like that word ignorant. I'm not an ajnani. Okay, then, are we jnani? Jnani means we know, sarvagya. God is sarvagya, he knows everything. Gya is a saint, means the saint has the correct knowledge, divine knowledge. And if we're not God realized, then we're agya. We don't know. Whatever we know is very little. You could say alpagya. But the main thing that we don't know is our own identity. You learn that when you were hearing Kripaluji Maharaj's speech a few days ago, you heard him saying that everybody in this world is crazy. Because the definition of pagal is someone who doesn't even know who they are. If you meet such a person, you'll definitely make sure the doctor keeps them in a hospital, in a mental hospital. But we all think we're the body, when the fact is we are the soul. Even if we know it intellectually, we know the theory because we've all read Gita, we don't keep that knowledge in our consciousness throughout the day. We're in body consciousness. We're in material consciousness throughout the day. Most days there's hardly a moment when most people actually stop and think, I'm not this body, I'm the divine soul. Because the divine soul is related to God and the body is related to the world. So if we only care about the world, it shows that we think we're the body. I am the body, therefore this world is what matters. But if I am the soul, then God is what matters. Big difference. So because Maya is covering us, the ignorance is that we have forgotten who we are. We actually think we're this body, and we've forgotten that we are the divine soul. What is the reason for this forgetfulness? There's only one reason. We're turned away from God. If we were turned towards God, Maya could never cover us. Maya would be gone for us. Because God is like sunlight. In this analogy, think of Maya as darkness. So Maya is darkness and God is the sun. So can the sun and darkness exist side by side? No. If the sun is there, darkness is gone. So Maya and God cannot exist side by side. So it means if a soul just comes to God, Maya will go. That's why Krishna says in the 7th chapter of the Gita, Mameva ye prapadyante maya metam taranti te. Any soul who comes to me, surrenders to me, that soul crosses Maya with my grace. But there's no other way to cross Maya. So we're not turned towards God, we're turned away from Him. And the resulting effect is that Maya covers us. That makes us forget who we are. We think we're the body instead of we're thinking we're the soul or knowing we're the soul. And since the body belongs to this world, if we in our mind are thinking or believing that I am the body, then naturally we're going to relate to the world more than to God. And our natural desire for happiness is going to be directed towards the world, not towards God. Because we're thinking, I'm the body. So the body is related to the world. So I should be able to find happiness from this world. But if we could have found happiness from this world, we would have found it long ago. We've been living in this world for uncountable lifetimes. How many times are we going to try the same experiment and fail? Another definition of insanity. Trying the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. This is what we've been doing. Oh, we think we change, but we're not changing. We're just we're not changing the field. Let's say one person disappoints us. We turn to the next person. We don't turn to God, we turn to the next person. If we get disappointed in one place or one part of our life, we turn to another place in the world with a fresh hope of finding happiness from that place. And when that disappoints us, we turn to another place in the world. So we've never turned towards God for happiness. This is why we've never found happiness in uncountable lifetimes. Not true, everlasting happiness. So this is all a kram. It's a sequence. We're turned away from God, so Maya is covering us. Therefore, we forget our true identity. So since we think we're the body, we look to the world for happiness. And that then, since we're always going to be actively seeking happiness, then we actively seek it in the world, and that causes us to become attached to all the places where we're hoping to get happiness. That attachment then becomes the cause of our rebirth in this world. Because whatever you're attached to, that's where you're reborn. So because of our attachment in this world, we're reborn again and again and again, and it just goes on. We're caught in this cycle. And it seems like there's no way out. Because now our attachment is so deep in this world that if I tell you, give up your worldly attachments and attach your mind to God, your mind will revolt. Your mind will you'll get that feeling inside that I like my worldly attachments. I want to keep them. I don't even want to attach my mind to God. I want to keep it attached in the world. So now how are we going to change this situation? Happiness is in God, and we can have that happiness if we attach our mind to Him. Yet our mind is saying, no, no, no. I like the world. So the only way to change that is through correct knowledge, through the knowledge of the Gita. It's a gradual process. Rishi, read that. The gradual process is that just what I told you about the nature of worldly happiness that we've all experienced so many times. Really think in your mind, what is the real state of this happiness? Is it real happiness? No. Then saints and scriptures are saying real happiness is in God. Yes, I believe that. Okay, so then have the mind start getting attached to God. It's a gradual process through correct knowledge. When we have the correct spiritual knowledge that happiness is there, not here, then our mind starts turning towards God. It's a gradual thing we have to do. The kids can't keep moving around. Then once we become fully turned towards God, Jushtam yada pasyatyanyamishamasya mahimiti vita shoka. Ved says the moment you are turned towards God, God appears before you. And you get divine happiness, divine bliss. All of your suffering is finished because Maya is gone. So when Maya goes, all the problems go. But the only way to get rid of Maya is to surrender to God or turn towards God. And the last point I want to make is that this is important to understand as well. We never turned away from God. It's not that we were facing God, which would mean at that point, if you were turned towards God, you would be God realized. And then one day, sit still. One day you turned away from God? No, impossible. A soul who's with God can never leave God. So it means since we're turned away from God today, we've always been turned away from God. It never happened. We are eternally turned away from God. Thus we are eternally under Maya. Thus we are eternally forgetting that we are the soul. Thus we are eternally, since eternity, seeking happiness from this world. Thus, since eternity we've been attached in this world, so since eternity we've been taking birth after birth in this world. So it never had a beginning, but it can have an end. Through correct knowledge, you can gradually turn your mind towards God, and when you become fully surrendered, then you become God-realized. So how to speed that process up? We'll learn something more in the 6th chapter. How to turn the mind towards God more quickly through proper meditation. So does anyone, we're already a little bit over time, but I'll take a couple of questions. Yes?
Practically, all of us, we come to the temple, we come here to the temple, or we have come here to the worship because we love God, we are inclined to the God.
Yes.
But at the same time, you cannot live without food. There is a saying that, "Bhukhe bajna hoye gopala lelo apne mala." That means, if we don't have to earn for our living, we will starve. I don't think how long we will be with God if we are starving. But then that's what makes us bind with the word, which is the Maya. So that's why
No, physically being in the world is not binding you. Your attachment in the world is binding you. There's a difference.
no, if I have to go for Maya in this world, naturally I'm attached. I can use another word, but I'm attached. See, when I get confused, I ask questions, so I hope you won't mind.
No, it makes sense. But there's just physically having to use the world doesn't mean we get attached in it. It's the difference between making use of the world and seeking happiness from the world. Big difference. Like eating to live or living to eat. Do you eat for taste, or do you eat to put the best thing possible in your body, to power it in the best way and make it the most healthy so that you can do more devotion to God? Or just eating for taste, because I'm going to get my happiness from the taste of this food. Big difference. So this can be applied to everything we do in this world. Everything. Just that one example, apply that to everything.
That's why when we all go and see all of us, or there are millions of people, they listen, they at that moment they feel, yes, this is good, we must be inclined to God more. But soon they leave their seat outside, I don't think they remember a word. We have to be inclined. They are in practical world again. So, because we don't understand how we can be more attached to God unless we leave it.
The main thing is that you have to keep reminding yourself, because the mind is always seeking happiness. So just reason with your mind that you want happiness. I know, that's right, that's correct. But is happiness in this, or is real happiness in God? Then you have to start giving your mind a taste of that divine happiness by doing proper meditation, by meditating on Krishna's form and experiencing what we call bhakti ras. So unless the mind starts to experience that devotional happiness from God, then it won't be willing to give up its attachment to the world. So that's more, I'll be talking more about that tomorrow, that how to do the meditation so that you can get more results from it. But it's like, it also has to do with the decision. We have to decide that I want happiness from God, and then try to remember that as much as possible. It takes effort, definitely, repeated effort. We have to keep reminding ourselves. Yes.
Just to ask you a question, not okay with it. But if you are full tummy, you have all the happiness, you are very happy with your life. Does it make any difference? Like, why do you want to go to God to find happiness?
Sure, yes, both points have merit. That you can't starve yourself and try to do devotion, because you'll be distracted by your hunger. Yet at the same time, sometimes it happens that people get some suffering in this world, and that reminds them that there's no perfect happiness in this world, so I should seek happiness from God. Whereas the more luxury we have in the world, the more distraction we have. That kind of pacifies our mind to some degree, and we don't feel that same hunger for God. So tomorrow will actually be the last day, although it's not the end of the Gita. We'll cover chapter 6 and we'll talk about meditation, how to meditate on God. And that's a very important practical aspect that I hope you'll come and listen to and then try to apply. So now, actually before we do the Arti, I keep forgetting to announce this every night. There's a couple of books over there. There's only one English one remaining. There are a few Hindi ones. It's called Prem Ras Siddhant. And if you don't get it from me, you can also order it from our website, radhamadhavdham.org. This book is the one I recommend to people if they want to understand the philosophy of the Gita more deeply. I don't, if someone asks me, can you recommend a good translation of the Gita? I say no. Because you can't understand the word for word literal translation of the Gita unless you understand the overall philosophy first. If you just go and read Gita, you won't understand. So understand the overall philosophy and how Gita fits into that. You guys, sit. You can do that from this book, Prem Ras Siddhant. There are probably a couple of 100 quotations from Gita in Prem Ras Siddhant, but every time Gita is being quoted, it's in the context of a certain topic where Veda is also being quoted, Purana is also being quoted, Ramayana is also being quoted. So you're seeing how all of these scriptures are saying the same thing. And Kripaluji Maharaj goes through the main topics of Hinduism, drawing on quotations from all of these scriptures. So that's the best way to understand Gita philosophy that I can offer you in a book form, is by reading Prem Ras Siddhant. So the Hindi one is the original, the English one is a good English translation, but I definitely would recommend reading the Hindi one if you read Hindi comfortably. And this is not an appropriate book for the youth. It's a little too high. I mean, teenagers a high schooler would be able to understand it. But don't think that, I'll buy the English one so my child can read it. It's an adult book, so buy it for yourself. The other thing I wanted to announce is that we have 2 flyers over there for upcoming family camps. One family camp is being held in Pennsylvania. There's an ashram called Vraj Ashram. It's not my ashram, but we're renting part of the facility. And we have a weekend retreat, family camp. So there we go on Friday and we come back on Sunday. It starts Friday night and ends Sunday at lunch. And it's the weekend before Memorial Day weekend, May 18th to the 20th. So there we'll be having a couple of days of, you can say, concentrated devotion. You can do karma sannyas for 2 whole days, from Friday until Sunday. And the resulting benefit you'll feel because you're not being forced to go back out into the world. And for a good part of the day, the kids are engaged in their activities. So the adults are free to take part in the speeches and the satsang that's going on. There's also some time for family activities together. So that's one really great program that you can come and take part in that I'll be leading in Pennsylvania. And the other one is a longer version of this at our ashram in Austin, Texas. Our ashram is called Radha Madhav Dham. It used to be called Barsana Dham a couple of years ago, but Kripaluji Maharaj changed the name of it to Radha Madhav Dham. We have 2 camps every year, one during the Christmas school break and one over the July long weekend. So the next camp coming up is June 29th to July 4th. And that's like a big camp. We have a lot of people come, and we have an amazing amount of programming. We have different age groups, separate streams going. Age 3 to 5, age 6 to 8, age 9 to 12, age 13 to 18, and a separate adult group. So even if you don't have kids, there's a full schedule of adult activities. Hearing speeches from myself or the other pracharaks of Kripaluji Maharaj who may be there. Doing satsang, having question and answer, learning meditation, singing kirtan. Then we have yoga. We have chance to learn how to play dholak, how to play harmonium and sing kirtan. Family games. In the summer we'll be probably playing some water games outside in the sun, getting wet. So lots of fun and lots of learning and devotion as well. So there are flyers for both of those, the Radha Madhav Dham camp and also the one in Vraj in Pennsylvania. So I would encourage you to look into that as a good follow-up for you from this program.
I think I interrupt you for a second.
Sure.
To those of you who have never been to Varsana Dham or Radha Madhav Dham, it's a paradise. I've been there, I was there one evening, and now as Swamiji mentioned about Varsana Dham, I just happened to have the time to go there from San Antonio and reached there at the Aarti time, and there was a very peaceful Swami singing in his saffron robe, and a wonderful Aarti time. It happened to Swamiji at that time. I did not connect up until now. It's absolute paradise on earth, I can tell you that. It is so peaceful, it is so endearing, that the hardest thing you'll find will be to leave that place. I promise that.
That's the one place where actually you will see peacocks coming by near you, and you will stand there for hours. And so that's just the one added part of it. But as he said, it is the whole place is a 2-acre property. So kids, 200 acre, and the kids basically enjoy it, and adults are also free for a week or so to focus on the activity.
In July, there's little baby peacocks running around too. Yes.
You also can never forget the game room.
Oh yeah, Rishi reminded me that the best part is the game room where we have ping pong tables and other things, foosball.
I will name.
So we can stand for the Aarti. Oh, is she gonna sing or just play? I'll set it up for Justin.
From the family camp in the summer.
This one is a big one. Where's the one that failed?
एक आ रही है, एक आ रही है. ओके देखिए शुरू कर दो. छेड़ना नहीं.
ओम जय जगदीश स्वामी जय जगदीश भक्त जनों के संकट नाश जनों के संकट क्षण में दूर करे. ओम जय जगदीश हरे जो नामे संग पावे दुख बिन से मन का स्वामी दुख बिन से मन का दुख
Krishna
बंदे भी खत्म हो रहे मेरी बाजू Hey, go yoga. Saksham, smile.